My brothers and sisters, Allah has honored you with guidance, clarity and protection. But there are places that strip you of that light and open your life to the influence of Shaytan. You may think, I'm strong, I will control myself. But by stepping into certain environments alone, you are already giving Shaytan the first victory. Sometimes he only brings you to the wrong door and watches you walk through it yourself. Shaytan waits where your guard is weakest. His goal is to make sin feel normal and guidance feel strange. If you learn to recognize the spaces where he thrives, where angels flee, you will protect your heart, your faith and your future. 1. Places of open sin and immorality. Wherever Allah is openly disobeyed, where modesty is mocked, where shameless behavior is encouraged, and where sinful acts are seen as normal or entertaining, understand that Shaytan is present with full force. These are places where your heart, your faith, and your self-respect are slowly attacked. When you walk into such environments, you may convince yourself that you are only there to look, to enjoy the atmosphere or to pass time, but Shaytan does not need your permission to influence you. His strategy is slow and silent. He begins by softening your dislike for sin. He makes you watch without feeling uncomfortable. He turns something that should shock you into something you find funny, cool or harmless. You enter thinking you are strong, but Shaytan studies every weakness inside you, your desires, your curiosity, your loneliness, and then uses these to plant tiny seeds in your heart. These seeds are thoughts, images and desires that will return later when you are alone, making you crave more. In just a short time, what once felt wrong now feels normal, acceptable, even enjoyable. This is the quiet corruption of the heart. Such places slowly replace your sense of shame with boldness. You begin to compare your life to theirs and feel like you are missing out. You begin to question your values and the teachings of Allah. You start to believe that sin is freedom and obedience is limitation. This is how Shaytan flips your understanding until you chase what is harmful and ignore what is beneficial. The worst part is that you often leave thinking you are still the same person, still pure, still connected to Allah, but something inside has changed. Your heart has shifted without you noticing. The first time you feel a little uncomfortable, the second time a little less. Eventually the sin becomes familiar, then normal, then acceptable. Once your heart becomes numb, Shaytan doesn't even need to whisper. You will walk towards sin yourself, thinking it is harmless. Ask yourself, why enter places where angels refuse to accompany you? Why put your soul in a battlefield without protection? A believer's heart is like clean water, pure and clear. But when you allow sin, even small amounts, to mix with it, the water slowly becomes dark. These environments make what is wrong look attractive and what is right look strange. They steal your haya, your shame, your inner softness. And once that is gone, guidance becomes harder to accept. You are shaped by what you repeatedly expose your heart to. If you spend time in darkness, your eyes eventually stop noticing the dark. If you surround yourself with immorality, then slowly the standards Allah has given you will fade. Protect your heart before it becomes too heavy to lift. When Allah forbids certain environments, it is not to limit you but to protect you, because He knows what you cannot see, the spiritual danger beneath the surface. So when you see places where modesty is absent, where zina is celebrated, where hijab is mocked, where alcohol flows, where shamelessness is entertainment, turn away. You are not weak for avoiding it, you are wise. The strongest believer is the one who recognizes danger before it destroys him. By keeping yourself away, you preserve your faith and save your heart from damage that may take years to repair. 2. Illicit gatherings and secret relationships. When a man and woman who are not mahram interact privately, whether physically, sitting together, speaking behind closed doors, messaging late at night, or sharing personal conversations online, Shaytan becomes the third companion between them. This is not just a saying, it is a spiritual reality. Allah created attraction between men and women, and Shaytan knows exactly how to manipulate that attraction. He will never push you into sin instantly. He works patiently, step by step, until a simple conversation grows into emotional attachment, and emotional attachment leads to desire. It always begins innocently. Two people say they are just talking or just friends. They convince themselves that there is no danger, but Shaytan knows that human hearts are soft and easily influenced. He whispers ideas, builds curiosity, and slowly makes the relationship feel exciting and special. Soon the heart becomes addicted to the attention, the compliments, and the private conversations. What began as harmless talk becomes something you look forward to. You start hiding your chats, erasing messages, protecting the person, and thinking about them constantly. This is how Shaytan traps you: emotion first, then action. When emotional attachment forms, logic becomes weak, shame becomes silent, and obedience becomes difficult. You start doing things you once thought you would never do. You begin taking risks, crossing boundaries, and lying to family. Even if no major sin has occurred yet, the heart is already captured, and when the heart falls, the body follows. Understand this: the private bond between non-mahrams is not just dangerous, it is forbidden, because Allah knows how quickly the heart falls. When Shaytan becomes the third, he feeds the imagination, paints fantasies, and removes fear of Allah from the heart. He convinces you that the relationship is special, that nobody will understand, that Allah will forgive, or that you will fix it later. These whispers destroy clarity and make sin feel justified. Even if both individuals claim good intentions, the environment of secrecy is what gives power to Shaytan. When you hide something from your family, when you communicate at night, when you share your private life, your pains, your dreams with someone who is not halal for you, you are pouring fuel on a fire that will eventually burn you. Emotional sin often comes before physical sin, and in many cases, the emotional wound is the most painful. The consequences of such relationships go far beyond embarrassment or regret. They can lead to heartbreak, depression, guilt, broken families, loss of trust, and even permanent damage to a person's spirituality. People spend years trying to heal from secret relationships, but the scars remain. Shaytan never leaves a person in peace after the sin. He first invites you to it and then shames you for falling into it. A believer protects their heart before their body slips. When you avoid private conversations, when you set boundaries, when you refuse emotional intimacy outside marriage, you are not being harsh, you are guarding your future. What Allah made haram is not because He wants to deny you happiness, but because He wants to protect your dignity, your peace, and your faith. If you find yourself drawn into such a situation, step back immediately, block the contact, delete the messages, remove the temptation. Do not be ashamed to protect your iman. Walking away may feel painful now, but it protects you from greater pain later. The person destined for you will come honorably, with respect, with your family's blessing, and with Allah's permission. Anything that needs to be hidden is not pure. What begins in darkness rarely ends in light. Choose relationships that bring you closer to Allah, not those that invite shaitan between you. The right person will never pull you away from your prayers, your parents, or your principles. They will guide you toward righteousness, not secrecy. True love is halal, honest and pure. Anything outside of that is a trap designed to steal your peace and distance you from Allah. 3. Dark, abandoned, or isolated areas. There are certain places where a person finds themselves alone. Dark forests, empty buildings, abandoned houses, deserted streets at night, quiet rooftops, lonely graveyards, or isolated corners where people rarely go. And these are places where the presence of jinn and shaitan is strongest. Islam teaches us that the unseen world is real. Jinn exist, they move, they watch, and some among them seek to harm or influence anyone who enters their spaces without protection. When a person goes into these silent, lonely places without need or purpose, especially without remembering Allah, they enter an environment where their spiritual defenses are weak and their fear makes them vulnerable. In isolated areas, a person's senses become sharper. The world feels quiet and empty. That silence can confuse the mind. Your thoughts become louder. Your emotions become heavier. Shaitan uses this psychological state to whisper fear, anxiety, worry, and imagination into the heart. In such loneliness, the mind begins to see what is not there, hear what does not exist, and believe what is untrue. Even the bravest person can feel unsettled because the unseen world becomes more active in places where humans rarely inhabit. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, advised believers not to travel alone at night or enter abandoned areas without necessity. This isn't just for physical safety, it's for spiritual protection. Darkness hides more than just physical harm. It hides unseen beings who prefer the night over the day. They roam through deserts, forests, and ruins, and they dislike being disturbed. How? When a person walks into their spaces without dhikr, without fear of Allah, without spiritual awareness, they expose themselves to harm, whispers, illusions, and sometimes possession. These places can affect the heart and mind deeply. When you are alone in such environments, your thoughts can become overwhelming. A simple sound becomes frightening. A shadow triggers panic. Your fear feeds Shaitan's power, making you imagine threats that are not even present. He works by magnifying your anxiety until you cannot think clearly. The more afraid you become, the stronger his influence grows. And when fear overtakes the mind, a person becomes spiritually unguarded. Some people go to these places out of curiosity, exploring haunted buildings, abandoned houses, dark forests, or isolated roads at night. Many do this for excitement, entertainment, or to prove bravery. But such behavior is foolish and spiritually dangerous. The unseen world does not entertain you. It observes you, tests you, and sometimes harms those who enter without Allah's protection. Many stories of sudden fear, unexplained sickness, nightmares, anxiety, and whispering thoughts begin with someone entering a place they should have never gone. Even in daily life, walking alone at night through empty streets can lead a person toward danger, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Shaitan often preys on those who are alone. Temptation, fear, and doubt grow stronger when there is no companion.